An overhanging rock offered him a temporary shelter, and scarcely had he availed himself of it when the tempest burst forth with all of its fury. Edmond felt the trembling of the rock beneath which he lay. The waves, dashing themselves against it, wetted him with their spray. He was safely sheltered, and yet he felt dizzy in the midst of the warring of the elements and the dazzling brightness of the lightning. It seemed to him that the island trembled to its base, and that it would, like a vessel at anchor, break moorings and bear him off into the center of the storm. When he recollected that he had not eaten or drunk for 24 hours, he extended his hands and drank greedily of the rainwater that had lodged in the hollow of a rock. As he rose, a flash of lightning that seemed to rive the remotest heights of heaven illuminated the darkness. By its light, between the island of La Mer and Cape Crezel, a quarter of a league distant, Dantès saw a fishing boat, driven rapidly like a spectre before the power of winds and waves. A second after he saw it again, approaching with frightful rapidity. Dantès cried to the top of his voice to warn them of their danger, but they saw it themselves. Another flash showed the forward men clinging to the shattered mast and the rigging, while a fifth clung to the broken rudder. The men he beheld saw him undoubtedly. Their cries were carried to his ears by the wind. Above the splintered mass, a sail rent to tatters was waving. Suddenly, the ropes that held it gave way, and it disappeared in the darkness of the night like a vast sea-bird. At the same moment a violent crash was heard, and cries of distress. Dantès from his rocky perch saw the shattered vessel, and among the fragments the floating forms of the hapless sailors. Then all was dark again. Dantès ran down the rocks at the risk of himself being dashed to pieces. He listened, he groped about, but he heard and saw nothing. The cries had ceased, and the tempest continued to rage. By degrees the wind abated, vast gray clouds rolled toward the west, and the blue firmament appeared studded with bright stars. Soon a red streak became visible on the horizon, the waves whitened, a light played over them, and gilding their foam crests with gold. It was day. Oh no, what do you think happened to those sailors? Are they going to wash ashore? What do you think was the point of this? I don't mean to be dismissive. That's not my question here. The introduction and then immediate destruction of sailors from Dante's POV. We already knew the kind of danger that this environment was posing. Lots of evocative imagery of the storm. You can almost call it Shakespearean in its tempestuousness. But what is to be gained of Dante seeing the destruction of these men that he doesn't know, that we aren't introduced to outside of little specks on the horizon? I guess they're not that far out, but I mean, like, not close enough to see any details or hear any details of them. Obviously, there's no interaction outside of screaming to one another. But, okay, what I'm getting to is, like, what does Dante gain from this? What do we as readers gain from this? It's almost as if Dumas needed to really drive home the luck, maybe, that Dante had encountered of reaching the island before this level of destruction and bad luck hit him. That maybe this is his luck changing, and he's able to see it, therefore be grateful for his change in luck. This is complete speculation on my part, by the way. I'm brainstorming out loud as I speak here. So, because I just don't quite understand, like, we have the suspense without seeing this moment. So what is this moment conveying? If not those things, then at the very least, it's more cha-ching in Dumas' pocket for filling out the story even further. I'm wondering if that's it. Like, he needs to extend. We're finally out of this dang old dungeon. Let's switch up the vibe, the atmosphere, the tone of the story, and really relish in the elements. Maybe that's another kind of subtle thing that Dumas is doing here. Like, in the dungeon, you would experience nothing like this. So now that he's out, maybe it is kind of symbolic of the chaotic nature of life. You have such a predictable day in, day out when you're in the dungeon. Now that he's liberated, anything can happen. So it could be a lesson in being careful, relying on your wit, not rushing headlong into things, because even in the best of circumstances, the most prepared you are, the world can still serve you a dish of bad luck. And now the bad luck is happening to someone else and not him. Okay, I need to get out of my own head here. Although before I do get out of my own head, another point just kind of came to me that might actually give some supporting evidence to this nonsense I just spouted, which is the whole idea that the island itself seemed to be shaking underneath Dante's feet. Now, you could probably point to that as just suspenseful, evocative language to draw, readers in with sensational moments. But after everything Dante has experienced in the last 24 hours, the ground is literally shaking under his feet, i.e., things are very unstable for him right now. And what's more, Dante doesn't know who the hell these fishermen are. I mean, I guess he recognizes that they aren't the gravediggers. I guess we're putting gravediggers in quotes now because the gravediggers are actually just people who toss litter into the ocean. But he doesn't know who these fishermen are, so there is a demonstration of his, do we want to call it empathy? But his noble nature in saving presumably innocent people. He doesn't want to see these men drowned and died. Therefore, he's going to make an effort to warn them of the danger ahead of them. Where someone else might have panicked, someone else might not have thought it their problem to do so, he, despite his circumstances, he hasn't eaten, he's exhausted, it's raining, he doesn't have shelter, he's naked. Don't forget he's naked. He is still thinking of others. I think this is all very subtle on Dumas' part to bring out these elements of Dante's new emerging character. Or the very premise of doing this show one page at a time for 4 years has broken my brain and I'm seeing things where there shouldn't be. Either could be true. Either one of these could be true. Okay, let's continue tomorrow with a little bit more of chapter 21. It is a new day. The storm has broken. We're going to finally have a moment of calm. Probably the first moment of calm since before Faria passed. So let's see what the new day brings. Join me here tomorrow for more of chapter 21. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.